Welcome to the channel. I'm Stacy, and my goal here is to help you to play better and sound better in your worship services. Today we're going to go over the parts for the song So So Good by Phil Wickham, Brandon Lake, and Elevation Worship. Like I said in the tone demo, my brother and sister-in-law treated my wife and I to the concert, the Summer Worship Nights concert, and they recorded the live version of this song at that Phoenix location. And it was really cool to be there. We got to see David Hislop. He slayed. The other guitar player slayed. It was just awesome. Great tones, great songs, amazing time of worship. And so we loved it. I picked from both guitar players for this part, and I did that to give it a good lead part. So if you split up your parts by lead and rhythm, or if you're the only guitar player, this is going to give you good frequencies to be playing, to stand out when you need to, and to fit in the mix the way that you would hope. So just coming right in, we're going to be swelling in on the B and high E string at the 10th fret. This song is in the key of D, and I am tuned to drop D. I've got my low E string nice and thunderous. So we're swelling in on the 10th fret on the B and high E. And then I just raked up, hitting the wound string. So that's going to be the D, A, and low E. And then come right down on the A string at the 5th fret and start a palm mute 16 notes. And that would sound like this. So we run through that. I did, I think, 3 bars or just 3.5 bars. Let that kind of ring out for a moment. Switched to the snapshot that had the pitch and then only one overdrive. I've got stacked overdrives on this one. You can check out the tone demo. There'll be a link on the screen at the end of this video taking you there. But that's a cool little part, and that came from the other guitar player's part. And so the first verse section is just this played. There's two parts to it, 2 halves, but they resolve differently. And then those 2 parts played together are repeated, I think, 8 times total. So we're just going to be fretting our B string at the 10th fret, at the 7th, at the 8th, and then we're going to pick and hammer on the G string at the 7th to the 9th 2 times. Pick the B at the 7th and then the G at the 7th. And then the second time we do that, we resolve it different, so it starts off the same. And just resolves only fretting the G string at the 7th fret. So I'll run through that whole part from the swells to the rake, that intro part with the 16th note palm muted A string at the 5th fret, and then into that first verse section. Also, there's a down chorus after that first verse section, and then we have an interlude that we come in on. We play that exact same part, but on that one, I kicked on the overdrive to give it a little bit of a lift, and I'll run through all of that. So the intro through the first verse section, and then we'll get into the second verse section after we do that. All right. So I only did that verse repeat a couple of times. It can be a bit redundant if that's all we can hear. So it runs through 8 times. Then there's a down chorus, and then we come in with the overdrive on that preset. Play that one more time. And then when we do resolve that, though, I went back to the snapshot 1. The second verse section comes in, and I'm fretting the G string at the 7th fret, and I am just palm muting that 16th notes for, I believe, 4 bars. I've got a note over here. Yep, 4 bars. So we're on the 7th fret G string for 4 bars, and then we're on the 9th fret D string for 1 bar, the 10th fret A string for 1 bar, and then we're going to hit a big open power chord from the low E down into our fretted notes, which are the G string or the D string at the 7th, the G string at the 7th. And so that'll sound like this. I'll play it without the effects and then with the effects. Coming out of that, we're going to be, we're on these power chords now. So that's the D, and then we're going to hit that one more time, and then we're going to fret the low E, A, and D string at the 7th fret, the G string at the 9th. So we're going to hit that one time, hit it again, and then right away fret that. That's an A chord, by the way, when we're fretting the low E, A, and D at the 7th fret. We're going to go up 2 frets with that same shape, fret the low E, A, and D at the 9th, the G at the 11th. Come back down here to the 5th fret. So that's a B chord. It's representing B minor. It's a power chord. There's no sixths in it, so there's no minors. And then, so we've got the low E, A, and D at the 5th, the G at the 7th. And then we're just going to hit the low E, A, and D at the 2nd, and that's an E chord. And then we're going to hit a big, just to fret it out, basic D chord with our G at the 2nd, our B at the 3rd. So. And real quick. And we have a little build on that part. So we're just going to hit that kind of build on that open D just for a couple of hits. And then we're going to be into our first chorus. So with all the effects, it'll sound like this. Coming out of that, we're in our next big chorus. So this is the first big chorus. We had a down one in the beginning. And this one's going to be fretted 16th notes on the D string and the A. So we're going to start on the 9th fret on the D string, come down to the 5th, and then the 5th fret on the A string. We're going to do that again on the 9th, the 5th, the A string at the 5th, the D string at the 7th, and then the D at the 9th, the D at the 5th, the D at the 12th, the A at the 9th, and then the resolve is the D at the 9th, the 5th, and then real quick we're going to go to the A on the 7th, and then hit another one of those big open power chords. So I'll run through that with all the effects, and for this one, it's just it's pretty wet. There's a fair bit of reverb trail on it, just to give it a little bit of body to give those notes a place to swim. at the end of that, you pick the G string at the 2nd fret, slide it up to the 7th, and then we go into a down part before the bridge. I think it's probably the bridge is that down part. So, but we're out for the first beginning of that, the first part of that. And then what we're going to do is halfway through the last part of that chorus, and then when we do come in on the bridge, we're just going to swell in. You can swell in on the G string at the 7th fret. I chose the B at the 3rd. It's the same note. You do get a little bit more body out of it if you fret it up a little bit higher. But going into our part for the bridge, I just thought this was the better spot to swell in. So you're just going to swell in, give it a little bit of movement, and then before we come in for our part on the bridge, you're going to do that one more time. And then we have it's a palm muted 16th note. We're kind of doing a fair bit of that 16th note stuff on this one. So on the G string at the 4th fret, and then we're going to hit the B string at the 7th. And on the recording, I did that quick. The track has that where that B string at the 7th rings out a bit, but didn't make it this time. So, but if you can let that ring out, it does sound cool. So we're going to be the G string at the 4th, the B at the 7th for a hit, coming back to the G at the 4th, and then the G at the 7th, at the 9th, and then at the 6th. The D at the 7th, the G at the 6th again, the B at the 7th, the D at the 7th, the G at the 4th, and then we're going to have another accent note similar to that B on the 7th, but it's going to be the G on the 7th. And this one, we're just going to keep those palm mutes going and not let it ring out. It goes into the same movement up here, the D at the 7th, the D at the 9th, the D at the 6th. And then we have a little bit of a build happening between the G at the 6th. So we have a little bit of a build happening between the G at the 6th and the D at the 7th. And so I've got it noted out, but when you're playing it, it might be easier just to feel it than to try to look at what notes are on the tabs. But it'll be like this. Going into another one of those big chords. So like I said, I tabbed it out to what I played, but I've played it a little bit different every time I've done it. And so you'll just want to feel that. But with all the effects, it'll sound like this. And then we're going to turn it into a power chord. We're going to fret out the G and the D string at the 7th fret, the B and high E at the 10th. And I put 5 instances for that chord, but it's kind of just, there are 5 specific hits. And so that's why I did that. But there's little accents happening in between them. So we hit that chord, and then going into that power section, we're going to rake it and go into it. It'll be like this. And then we're into the next chorus, and it's the same as the first one, not identical. We're going to start on the D at the 9th, the D at the 5th, the D at the 12th, the A at the 9th, and then the D at the 9th, the D at the 5th, the D at the 12th, and then at the 11th. And then it resolves the same as it did before. So we're going to be the D at the 9th, the 5th, the A at the 7th, and then rake that power chord. And then we're going to pick the G string at the 2nd, slide it up to the 7th, and then bar that D and G at the 7th again. And then there's another kind of 5 accent build. And then it goes into another chorus. And this one starts off the way the main part of the last one ended. The D at the 9th, the D at the 5th, at the 12th, and then at the 11th. And then we're still on those 16th notes, the D at the 9th, at the 5th, the 12th. And then we're going to pick the A at the 9th, but only let it ring out once. The D at the 12th, the G at the 14th, and we're going to pick that one twice, to the 12th, to the 11th, to the 10th. And then the 12th, the 11th, the 10th, and then we're going to hit that bar chord again, barring the D and G string at the 7th. And then we're going to fret the A at the 9th, and then the D at the 9th, the D at the 5th, the D at the 7th, and then another power chord. And with all the effects, it'd sound like this. If you did, subscribe and hit that like button for good measure. If you'd like the resources for this song, you'll find them at a link in the description box below. There are a handful of downloads free for you in there as well. All right, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one.